Welcome to the Unit 5 review. I'm going to present you with some things that you obviously want to study. It's not a whole lot since Unit 5 only has a few different topics. Definitely going to be a good idea to go back and rewatch, go over some notes, redo some problems, things like that. And then I'm also going to present you with some new problems to go ahead and try. The way that you should attack this is to write down the problems, try them as if they were a test question. So without looking at notes, without going back to videos or anything like that. And then once you've run through them and given them that time and that effort as if it were a test, then go back and problem solve on ones that you messed up on. I will post a solutions video later in the weekend so that you can check your work, but for most of these you should be able to kind of test your answer, reason about whether it makes sense, and go from there. What I want to talk about is just kind of how the unit goes. So first off, you want to remind yourself of what sequences are, both arithmetic and geometric sequences, and feel good about recursive and closed form definitions and get some practice with that. And then going on from that, thinking about series. And so if you have a sequence where you have the first term, second term, so on and so forth, all the way to the nth term, a series is where you're adding those terms together. And so you can maybe remind yourself of the chessboard story that we talked about, and that can give you some reference. For series, we want to find the partial sums. We're not going to add up all the terms. We want to stop at some point based on the situation we're dealing with. And so you can do this either without the formula by adding them up by hand, or we can derive a formula and then apply that formula. So you want to remind yourself how to derive that formula. We did that in class, and so you should have that in your notes. And that's certainly something that you want to feel good about. It's not something that you're going to just be able to look at and go, oh yeah, I remember that. You're going to need to practice it and go through it and really remind yourself of why certain moves work in order to come up with the closed form formula. All right, so now coming up will be some questions. I may say a few things about each question, but for the most part we'll be silent, and I'll just have the question posted for about 5 to 10 seconds. Go through it, give them your best effort, and then solutions will be posted sometime over the weekend. So here, recursive definition and closed form function for the sequence below. And then last but not least, go ahead and find the corresponding term when n is 15, so the 15th term. Very similar to the last question, except there's a little addition. We're going to introduce a question about series, so make sure that you think about that, and I encourage you to really, before you go in and solve it, think about what kind of an answer you'd expect. Here you want to make sure that you explain each move that you make. This is not an overly tricky question, but is one that you will need to be very clear on in order to get full credit. This question here will draw obviously some similarities to the task done at the end of last class period. This should require a good amount of work, and I encourage you to really show all the work, and before you just rush in and start trying to do sums or partial sums or whatever, I would map out the situation and try and understand what's happening each year, and go from there.